Sarah Grace Patrick was born in April of 2008 to parents Kristin Nolan and Daniel Patrick. She was popular and well-liked among her peers in both school and church. She worked at a Pelican Snowballs in Carrollton, Georgia, which is a shaved ice franchise. Like many girls her age, she was very active on TikTok. Sarah Grace's parents met in June of 2007 and were married for 10 years. It seemed like their relationship moved fast, with Kristin giving birth to Sarah Grace less than a year later. Her little brother soon followed. But it wasn't happily ever after for the couple. They ended up splitting up and finalized their divorce in 2018 and split custody of Sarah Grace and her brother. Kristin became their primary caregiver, and Daniel got them every other weekend and holidays. They also weren't supposed to use drugs or alcohol while the children were in their care. However, Daniel became unhappy with the arrangement in 2019 when Kristin began dating and living with a man named James Matthew Brock. James had 2 sons of his own who lived with their mother.
Daniel accused Kristin and James of mistreating Sarah Grace and her brother, and of using drugs where the children could see. James was also accused of hurting Sarah's younger brother, belting him so hard that he left bruises. Daniel alleged that Sarah Grace, who was about 10 or 11 at the time, told him a story. Allegedly, she was in a car with her mom, James, and their drunk friends. Sarah Grace was in the back seat when one of the other passengers threw up in her direction. She pulled a blanket over her face at the last second so the vomit wouldn't hit her. Daniel's claims weren't totally unfounded. James Brock had a history with law enforcement and drug charges. At the time, he was serving 2 probation sentences. One was for meth possession and another for weed possession and theft. The second incident occurred when he was nearing the end of his first probation sentence. Kristin, in turn, accused Daniel of drinking in front of the children and telling them bad things about her. Daniel later said that he went to her house to confront her, and when he did, Kristin presented him with an agreement stating that Sarah could live with him and that he needed to pay her $5,000 in attorney's fees and keep it out of court. Georgia's Department of Family and Children's Services intervened. Daniel got full custody of his 2 children for a few days, but the courts reversed the decision just a few days later. Sarah Grace wrote a letter to the courts asking that she stay with Daniel, which read in part, "I, Sarah Grace Patrick, am 11 years old and love both of my parents very much. I really want to live with my father. On December 12, 2019, my mother said I could finally live with my father after I told her. She had my father pick me up, my little brother and I. My mother knows that this is my desire, and she's also aware that my father is filing to get custody of me." But still, the courts went back to the original custody agreement. By that point, Kristin and James had a child together, Sarah Grace's younger half-sister. The relationship between Sarah Grace and Kristin was often strained. Sarah Grace wasn't shy about telling her mother how she felt. In 2021, Kristin posted from one of her Facebook accounts, and I quote, "I'm coming to get you, love. I know you are so unhappy there. I hear you, and I'm doing everything I can to make it happen. I promise you that, son. Your father can't beat you anymore." Sarah Grace, who was now 12 or 13 at the time, replied to her mother saying, "Kristin, you are a grown woman, and this is the child that you put through the dirt just to make yourself happy. Commenting on my post and posting this is never gonna make me want to go to your house again, and shows how immature you are. Respectfully, grow up." Sarah Grace replied again, this time in all caps, which read, "The only one that beat us was the ex-stepdad you got with and had no time to realize it because you were out dealing. Daddy has never laid a hand on me, and you need to stop brainwashing my brother, and it doesn't work anymore with me." Kristin replied to her, "Maybe you need to call me because we need some therapy, for real. Sad this is the only way you talk to your mom."
Kristin and James had troubles of their own. In 2022, Kristin was arrested for criminal property damage. According to the warrant, Kristin drove her car into a barn structure where James was standing while their youngest daughter was in the back seat. Kristin's son, then 9, witnessed the altercation from the outside. Because they lived together and shared a daughter, the incident also fell under the Family Violence Act. She was charged with 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, one for each of the children present during the incident. James filed an emergency protective order against Kristin in 2022. He got temporary full custody of their youngest daughter. Kristin had to give up her keys and was prohibited from contacting James or their daughter. A few weeks later, in mid-September of 2022, James requested his protective order be dismissed.
At the end of the month, Kristin announced in a Facebook post that she and James were broken up. She said, and I quote, "Hey, me and James are not together, not even friends. I don't really know him at all. I'm ashamed and hurt and embarrassed. Never again will you bring filth to my life. You play people like a fiddle, just not me anymore. Karma will be your King Brock, LMAO. Yeah, this hurts me, but it's gonna hurt her more," referring to her youngest. "Please pray for us and our safety. Please let me know if you see James Brock so you can warn me. He is trying to kill me. Has been to get the house and child. Man, wasted tears, now huge fears." In the days leading up to the 30th, but mostly on the 25th, Kristin and James got into fights in her Facebook comment section. She accused him of many things, but mostly of being an absent father. He pushed back. Both accused the other of cheating and lying. Then, in mid to late 2023, Kristin and James made up and moved back in together. James was struggling with a heart condition that left him fatigued and unable to care for the children or do household tasks. He had an LVAD machine attached to his body that kept him going, and he was on a waiting list for a heart transplant. They got married in December and got clean, according to loved ones. Her father, Dennis, said, "About 10 years ago, she had a drug problem, but recently she was very clean. She was involved with the church and so happy. She felt born again and very saved." Daniel and Kristin were on better terms as well, at least publicly. He praised Kristin for being a good mother, such as in one post where he said, "So proud of Sarah Grace. Kristin Brock, we made one beautiful girl."
By January of 2025, the Brock household lived on Tyus Carrollton Road in Carrollton, Georgia. It consisted of Kristin, James, Sarah Grace, and her 5-year-old half-sister. It's unclear if her brother was living there too. Sarah Grace herself was either a normal teenager or going through severe mental health troubles, depending on who you asked. Kristin told a friend that she felt a rift between herself and her daughter. Daniel thought she seemed generally energetic and happy, but her friends claimed she confided that her feelings were turbulent. She was hospitalized once for unknown reasons, as confirmed by her grandmother, though some reports have suggested the hospitalization was related to her mental health.
In the early hours of February 20th, Kristin and James were shot as they slept in their bed. Sarah Grace's 5-year-old sister found them in the morning. Through tears, she woke Sarah Grace up and told her. Sarah Grace called the police and she was taken to the sheriff's office. She called her dad at 7:30 in the morning, but the call dropped when he answered, and he got another call from paramedics. They told him he had to pick up Sarah Grace because Kristin and James were dead. Daniel first assumed the couple had relapsed and OD'd, but he was shocked to hear that they were actually murdered. They were interviewed together by police detectives, but Daniel said that Sarah Grace was later brought into a separate room and interrogated without his knowledge. Police investigators said they didn't find any evidence of forced entry. Their suspect had to have been let inside or already been in the home before Kristin and James were shot. In initial interviews with investigators, Sarah Grace told police that an unknown person had entered the home and committed the shootings. Family friend later took Sarah Grace and her sister into her home. Sarah Grace graduated from high school, went on a beach vacation, celebrated her 17th birthday, and spent time with her family while police were gathering evidence. During this time, it was found that cameras in Sarah Grace's room were reportedly taken down in the days leading up to the shooting, and the camera in Kristin and James' room was not operating at the time of the crime. In the months following the murder, Sarah Grace posted to social media about her loss. She had a few social media accounts, but was most active under the TikTok handle sgrace04282. The account has since been taken down, but news outlets have captured some of her posts. She uploaded images and videos of herself crying. She wrote in one upload, "I can't help but hate myself because I didn't wake up to find them before my 5-year-old sister had to find her parents like that." Sarah posted a series of pictures of her family with a caption that read, "If you asked me about my mom and stepdad, I'd say I miss them so much. But if you were to ask me on a deeper level, I'd tell you that I just want to go home. I feel so homesick and I miss them so much. I can't stand the fact I can't see them anymore. This sucks more than anything possible. I feel like I'm in a horror movie that never ends. And on top of everything, I still have no answers. I'm so confused on how someone could have done this, and even more confused on why. Why them? Why that? Just why? How could they?" Her father, Daniel, also posted a message from Sarah on his Facebook, which read in part, "I won't go into further detail, but know that there are things on the news that are not true, not any more than that in the 11 Alive, as far as we know, and 11 Alive is a news outlet. But the rumors and the assumptions do not help unless you contact the police about it. However, I trust in God to make this right, and I know He will, and the truth will all come out in the end. If you know something, please, please, please speak up. I beg of you, because this split me and my sister up after such a traumatic day none of us deserved. My animals have to find new homes. My home is gone, and I can't even get my wallet or clothes or anything, even my Bible. I lost my sense of safety, and most of all, they took my mother and my stepdad that was there when my amazing father couldn't be. It's been horrific, and I would like if people would hug their families extra long after you see this. I wish I got up and hugged her when I said goodnight. You never know how much you'll regret not doing it until it's too late. I pray for whoever did this, but this was not right, and I need answers why. But until then, I'm gonna put my trust in God to take care of them in heaven and watch over me and my loved ones. I thank everyone at Catalyst Church today for safety. I don't want to mention any names specifically, but thank you for blessing my family and for praying over me and being a vessel of the Lord into my life."
Sarah Grace also reached out to true crime TikTokers through DMs and comment sections, asking them to cover her family's case. Many responded with sympathy, and some granted her request, and a few spoke with her one-on-one. James's friend Kelly Brown organized a GoFundMe fundraiser to help pay for his funeral expenses. His sister Kim Bowling and her husband Greg were listed as beneficiaries. The fundraiser exceeded its $1,800 goal within a few days of going up. Neighbors who spotted police cars and crime scene tape outside the Brock home began speculating early. Some suspected Sarah Grace herself was responsible. Their suspicions deepened at the couple's funeral on March 8th, where Sarah Grace herself gave the eulogy. She stood on the stage in a light blue dress, reading from notes at the podium.
"Everything we went through does not define what kind of person or what kind of mother you were. You were a beautiful, kind soul with so much gratitude and so gosh dang strong. And you taught me so many life lessons, and some that you just recently taught me were through a letter you sent to James in 2018. When I first read it, I smiled and I cried, and I got chill bumps. But every single time I read it, it puts me to a lot of peace. So I thought I would share it. May 23rd, 2018, Deuteronomy 6:5. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. The wrong one will find you in peace and leave you in pieces, but the right one will find you in pieces and lead you to peace. We can't always choose the music that life plays for us, but you can choose how we dance to it. She was always dancing to her own beat, LOL. And keep in mind, she wrote that herself. Eventually, all the pieces fall into place, but until then, laugh at the confusion, live for the moment, and know that everything happens for a reason. I can choose to let it define me, confine me, refine me, outshine me, or I can choose to move on and leave it behind me. Always, Kristin Brock. Considering that gave me so much closure, I want to remember them for who they were and not what happened to them, and be happy for the time we got to spend together and not sad about the time that we don't. I may always and will always be her sunshine, but she will always be my star from up above. And I know at nighttime I can go and look at Mama and Jamie in the sky, and gladly they will save me a seat in heaven like they saved for you. I'm sorry. Gladly they will save a seat for me in heaven like they saved a seat for me in this very church. Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people with us today. Therefore, when someone tries to tell you anything, no matter how important it could be, just listen, because you never know when it's somebody's time to go. You could say goodnight and wake up a few hours just to find out they aren't there despite their joy and their love. So just listen and never take a hug or anyone or anything for granted, and love with all that you have in you like they did. And lastly, by not taking people for granted, I want to thank my family, also known as my Cata fam, my grandparents, my siblings, for helping me get through my worst nightmare. And last but not least, I want to thank Tasha, Bree, Nate, Lane, Kimberly Hayes, Kim Bowling, Katie, and most of all, my father, Angie, and Ben for making such a big difference. Jamie and Mama would have thanked y'all too. I love you guys, and so do they. I'm sorry.
James's older sister, Kim, also spoke. She said the following.
Thank you for all for being here to celebrate the life and memory of Jamie, or James to some, and Kristin brought. My heart is shattered. Jamie was my baby brother, the only sibling I had left. We had each other, though, and I will miss him so much. I'll miss his silly phone calls. If you knew Jamie, you knew he had a kind heart, but rarely took anything too seriously. He loved to joke around and loved to embarrass you in public, and he did. I met him at Chuck E. Cheese in October. He had the biggest smile on his face that day. When Chucky came out to dance with the kids, Jamie said, "Watch this." And I said, "No, Jamie, please don't." He walks up behind him and he scratches his ear, and then he walked back towards me with that goofy smile. And we just laughed. I thought we were going to get thrown out of Chuck E. Cheese. Fortunately, we didn't, and we all had a great time, and we all left smiling and happy for our time together. I've laughed with you. I've cried with you. And sadly, I buried our mom with you. I've never stopped loving you. Our mom told me to always watch over you before she left us, to be with Jesus. I promised her I would. We were only 19. I did my best, but sometimes I worry that my best wasn't good enough. If I let you down, Mom, I'm sorry. But please know Jamie and I had a great relationship. He was stubborn and so was I sometimes, but we always found our way back together. And we genuinely loved each other. Every phone call ended with, "I love you, sis." You never hung up without letting me know you love me. I'll miss being called sis, but I'll always be your sis. You'll always be my baby brother.
Sarah's father made a post on Facebook in early July of 2025. He said, "To my daughter, never doubt your place in this world. You were sent here with purpose, wrapped in grace, and born to shine in ways only your soul knows how. I see you, I believe in you, and I'll always be in your corner." A few days later, Sarah Grace got a call from investigators who alerted her that they had a warrant out for her arrest. Daniel took Sarah Grace to the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, where she turned herself in. They announced a new development in a Facebook post, and the comment section was divisive. Many speculated Sarah Grace snapped after horrible treatment behind closed doors, but many had little sympathy for her. James's niece, Kristin Dowda, had her suspicions about Sarah Grace. She claimed Sarah Grace fake cried during the eulogy. She felt vindicated after Sarah Grace's arrest. She posted a video of the eulogy to her Facebook profile. It's the same video that we found re-uploaded and shared with you earlier. It's no longer available on her profile, but according to reports, she wrote the following caption, and I quote, "After their funeral, when I saw someone had recorded this, I immediately saved it because I knew one day everyone would get to see this for what it was. The feeling of being at a funeral to say goodbye to someone you loved and thinking to yourself, am I actually witnessing the person that murdered them standing up here in front of everyone and fake crying about them? Does anyone else see this person doing a crying voice but never shed a single tear? This is what a monster looks like. Monsters do come in the form of sweet-looking girls in dresses sometimes. And luckily in this case, the monster gets to trade her dress for a jumpsuit and handcuffs." After being booked into jail, Sarah Grace called her maternal grandfather, Dennis. He recalled, "She was begging for me to help, and I explained to her, there's nothing I can do at this point. She was just begging, please help me get out of this mess. And I told her just to do what they say and be cooperative, and we'll do what we can." She said she was innocent, and he believed her. Investigators told Dennis she was the only one who could have done this, but wouldn't share anything more. He said if they had something concrete, they would have arrested her a whole lot sooner. I mean, she's a sweet young lady. She's always been a wonderful little girl. What can I say? I just can't imagine her doing such a horrific thing, especially to her mother. She and her mother were very close, and they were doing great at that time. When asked if he thought Sarah Grace was guilty, Dennis said, well, it's hard to make any judgment at this point. They have to release the evidence, and I don't understand what evidence they have. Most of it, from what I understand, is circumstantial. And, she's my granddaughter. I have to stand behind her. She swears her innocence.
A true crime TikToker named Janice, also known as allegedly reportedly, was one of the influencers Sarah reached out to. After she was arrested, Janice uploaded a video reacting to the news.
Why would you ask me to cover a case where you are going to get arrested for taking your parents' lives? Y'all, this is Sarah Grace, and she messaged me back on June 3rd and just said, search up Brock case. So I said, Brock Turner? Brock who? She said, Kristin and James Brock. Hold on. They're my parents, and out of nowhere, a random Thursday night in February, someone came in my house with me and my 5-year-old sister, and my parents left them for me and my little sister to wake up to. Technically, it was a Wednesday night because I found them Thursday morning, and I said, not knowing she was going to wind up arrested for this, I am so sorry. I cannot imagine. I will absolutely research and cover their case. Please take care of you always. Again, not knowing, and I covered it. 17-year-old daughter arrested for parents in Carroll County. On Tuesday afternoon, Carroll County Sheriff's Office announced that they have arrested 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick. She is facing 2 murder charges and 2 aggravated assault charges. The girl that asked me to cover the case has been arrested. As you can see here, James Brock was 45 and his wife, Kristin, was 41. Rest in peace to them. They were both found no longer alive on the morning of February 20th. Much more information is going to come out. I will be making another video about this. I just wanted to get this out. I am in absolute shock because, again, the question I asked at the beginning of this video, why would you message me or any other true crime creator saying, hey, please cover this case, and then you wind up being arrested for it? I am in shock. Now, of course, this is just an arrest. This is not a conviction, so everything's alleged as of now, but please let me know what you think about the psychology behind this.
The day after Janice received these messages, Sarah contacted her again. She said, I think it would be a really big hit because the only person who posted about it made it as the first image you see when you Google their names. Plus, I can give you intel, I just can't give you anything that could break the case. That's what the cops told me. Those new messages gave Janice pause, but she granted Sarah Grace's request to cover her parents' case. Her viewers left comments offering sympathy for the couple's family, along with speculation on who could be the culprit. One person guessed it was somebody they knew. Sarah Grace herself replied, most definitely was, since they knew the house. Sarah Grace's comments on the TikTok coverage unsettled many viewers, and the sympathy for her rapidly declined. Janice kept an eye on the case and provided updates to her audience, following through with Sarah Grace's request. Ophelia, aka ShoeLover99, was another person Sarah Grace had reached out to. Ophelia's son had been murdered at age 18. She discussed this at length on her TikTok account. Sarah Grace reached out for support, but her message never made it out of the request's inbox. Ophelia eventually found it after Sarah Grace was arrested. She uploaded a video of white text on a black screen saying, how dare you? How dare you reach out to me? Thank God I didn't see this until today, but how dare you reach out to me like you need a mother, knowing what you are accused of doing to your own mother and father, and knowing that my son was murdered. To say I am triggered is an understatement. I am literally about to walk into a courtroom for my son's homicide trial in 8 weeks. This is not okay. This is sociopathic.
Although she was 16 when officers alleged she killed her mom and stepdad, and 17 when she was arrested, the prosecution argued Sarah should be charged as an adult. The judge ruled in their favor. The murder weapon, identified in the arrest affidavit as a handgun, has not been recovered. Investigators have not publicly established how Sarah obtained one. James was not legally permitted to own a firearm as a twice-convicted felon, and his family says they had no idea he had one. Sarah had her first court appearance on August 19th. She smiled and embraced her attorneys as she entered the courtroom. But her smile disappeared as the hearing went on. Many of her family, friends, and acquaintances were called to testify to her character.
Not all of Sarah Grace's relatives were sympathetic to her. James's family in particular opposed her release. Sarah Grace cried as she heard what they had to say. James's sister, Kim, urged the courts to deny her bond. She said, "If the defendant can kill her own parents in such a violent manner, I fear for my own safety and the safety of my family and friends." James's oldest son also took the stand and cried as he did so. He called his father his Superman, said that he wished he could hear James's voice again, and that he felt like he was living a nightmare. In his opinion, Sarah Grace was likely to flee rather than stand trial. Other family members and some of her friends spoke in her defense wearing "I Stand with Sarah" shirts. Her father was among them. They characterized her as a good kid, faithful, and always kind. Her pastor testified that he visited her in jail and they prayed together. At the end of the hearing, Sarah Grace was denied bond. The prosecution said they worried Sarah Grace might try to intimidate witnesses, including her little sister, who could one day be called in to testify. Her trial was supposed to start in January of 2026, but it was delayed. In December, the defense's forensic neuropsychologist had evaluated Sarah Grace multiple times since August and produced a draft, but the final report wasn't complete. Prosecutors said they also needed time to review the final report and prepare a response of their own. Judge Dustin Hightower pushed the trial to August of 2026, giving both sides enough time to prepare. He made it clear there was a slim to none chance he would grant another delay. Most recently, at a second bond hearing in January of 2026, Judge Hightower found nothing had changed enough to warrant release. He also learned that Sarah Grace's family had signed contracts with a production company for a documentary about the case. Judge Hightower believed Sarah Grace's family had financial reasons for wanting her out of jail. He stated, "That brings a whole level again of motivation. If you're out, what's going to motivate you or that side to do things? Because the more that's there, the more they have, the more potentially they get. That's a risk too." Normally at this point, we would share burial details for Kristin and James, but they have none that are publicly available. From what we understand, they were both privately cremated.
Sarah Grace's trial is set to begin in August of 2026, less than a month from the date of this recording. She faces charges of malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault, one each for Kristin and James. Sarah Grace Patrick has pled not guilty to all charges and maintains her innocence. She is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Prosecutors have claimed multiple times they have a mountain of evidence against Sarah Grace, but none of it has been presented in open court. Yet. If this story resonated with you, then please click here to check out the case of the Richardson family, who were murdered by their teenage daughter Jasmine and her werewolf boyfriend, Jeremy.